Shut it down! 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 No justice, no peace! No justice, no peace!
Yeah.
No justice, no
I
peace!
can see better now.
It must be, and they
No
put cones up to block
justice,
the
no
road.
peace!
Yeah.
No peace!
Well, it's someone's house.
No peace!
So we're out here in Menominee Falls.
Police! No peace! No peace! Police! Police!
Got
No
a
peace! Police! No peace! Police!
another group of officers who do not have their masks on, as you can see.
Police! Arrest the police! Arrest the police!
No masks. Well, there's one guy with a mask around his, it might be with the sheriff's office, it's around his neck, but these other officers do not have their masks on. They put up cones to try to, I guess, have us not come through here for some reason. Not sure why.
Arrest the police! Arrest the police!
But
He's told that Steve doesn't live anymore and that those cones are for road construction.
oh, seems unlikely. So a bunch of police in riot gear, including the sheriff's office, have come out here for some reason. Look at how much money is being expended on this. So again, why is this guy videotaping this?
Everybody should have their mask up. Get one.
So this is the guy in charge. We have people from the sheriff and from the municipal police department here. Not sure why.
It says Steve no longer lives here.
Oh, there's a sign that says Steve no longer lives here. Interesting.
Defund the police!
But again, what are they out here for? What are they worried about? We've been here before. So this guy is censoring them. But again, you see the escalation. If they were not out here, we wouldn't even be paying attention to them. But for some reason, and also, why are they videotaping? If they all have body cams, why would they need to be having a GoPro out there? Why does this officer have a GoPro? Look at the fear. Look at the terror. Why? What are they afraid of? There's nothing to be afraid of. Falls. I'm not sure what street we're on, but we're in Menominee Falls. Yeah, we're in Menominee Falls right now, and again, I don't know why there are officers with riot gear out here. So you're from the Sheriff's Department? Why are you here? Sir, why are you looking at my feet? Sir, what's your name? What's your name, sir? Officer. Officer, what's your badge number? You're required to give your badge number or your name. What is your badge number? You see, the officer is refusing to comply. We will check out what his standard operating procedure is, but I don't know why he would refuse when we can identify him easily enough. The internet remains undefeated. We have your face. You can just tell us your name. Sir, what is your name? Let's go see about this guy.
What's your badge number? It's against the law not to tell us.
I got you. So, let's see, W8749. Is that your badge number? W8749. Let's see, we got W08308, looks like. From the sheriff's office. This must be. Are you the sergeant? Sir, are you the sergeant? Officer! Officer! Are you the sergeant? I think he's a sergeant. Got their batons out. For what? What are they so scared of? Officer, what's your name? You see, this officer doesn't have any identification on. He's not willing to give his name or badge number. He's asking the supervising officer now, or sergeant. Officer, what is your name? Officer, what is your name? What is your badge number? What is your badge number? What is your ID? Are you refusing to give your identifying information? All right, internet, this gentleman is refusing to give his identification for some reason. Why don't you want to give your ID? What are you afraid of? How about you? What's your name, sir? What's your badge number? 8932? Thank you, 8932. Sir, what's your badge number or your name? Okay, we got MGPD 20, and last but not least, sir, what is your name? What is your name? Are you refusing to give your identification? What's your badge number? Okay, so this gentleman is refusing to give his badge number or ID. Are you sure you don't want to? 8909? And you're with the sheriff's office? Not with the police. You're with the sheriff's department? Is that correct? He's pointing to, says sheriff right there, okay? Thank you very much. Why are you out here? your camera on? Do you have your camera on? Okay, thank you very much. So again, the badge numbers matter because that's the identifying, that's the way that we can identify them in case something inappropriate happens, or in case you know, standard operating procedures aren't being followed or something of that nature. You want to be able to identify them. And again, they're public servants. They're not a private security firm without accountability. They work for us. No, we're not in Washington. We're out here in Menominee Falls. And again, there's absolutely no reason for this sort of presence. They don't need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 officers out here. To what end? And how much money is being used on this? And look at their clearance rate. What is the clearance rate for sexual assaults, for rapes, for murders? This is how they choose to spend their resources? Also, why is there an officer just dedicated to videotaping? What's that about? If they all have cams, if they have their cameras on, why do they need an officer with a GoPro getting footage of the crowd? What's that about? And again, why is there not only the municipal police, but also the sheriff's department out here? They needed supplementary forces for this? For what?
Right. What are they doing?
We've been met with this license at this house. This house is significant here for some reason, yo.
Yeah, we wouldn't have even we would have walked by if there wasn't.
For the second time in a row, Menominee Falls Police Department been so bored that they had to meet a peaceful protesting riot here, y'all. This is why we want to abolish the police. Y'all pay for this.
It's a lot of money.
For this. We're to protect the empty house. This is what the people of Menominee Falls pay for. We're not going to give these folks no more of our time at all, period. We're going to keep it moving. I just wanted to say that to y'all. That's it. We're going to keep it moving.
So again, just a huge waste of resources. There's no reason to be out here. They've not done anything. If anything, they created an escalating situation. If they weren't here, we wouldn't have even have noticed anything. But they all sentry up in front of this house.
Hey, isn't it a state mandate that they should wear a mask? They have to wear a mask?
Right. Exactly. So again, you know, to what end? And who are they keeping safe? You know, they're not. Yeah, we're out here in Menominee Falls. And think about how many resources are being put into patrolling and, hey, what's good, man? Good to see you. They're being put into patrolling and, you know, following and documenting. And by the way, I know they're watching right now. How many of your resources are being put into this right now? Why? What are you afraid of? Right, as well as a bunch of officers not wearing masks, of course. That's another consideration as well. Even while they're on the dime, even while they're at work. But again, for what? Some people playing drums and march down the street demanding an end to police brutality and demanding accountability and demanding money being invested in our society for the betterment of everyone in our community, as opposed to being put into the sort of, you know, military-like sentries that we saw posted up outside that house. And to what end? To what end? They've been watching us. You officers who are watching us right now, you're just trying to up your overtime. You've been watching us. Here's another one. What's your name, sir? What is it?
There.
Why aren't you wearing a mask?
Because I'm within 6 feet. You're encroaching on my 6 feet, bud.
Why aren't you wearing a mask? But why aren't you wearing a mask? It is your duty to wear a mask. Sir, what's your name? Kaiser? Why aren't you wearing a mask? But the mandate is to wear a mask, correct? What does it say? While you're outside. Were you not within 6 feet of anyone else today while you're not wearing a mask? Is that what you're saying? That's what you're claiming? If I find video footage of you not within 6 feet of someone else, what's that? So why aren't you wearing a mask then? Why aren't you? We're in the middle of a global pandemic. Why not just wear a mask? You're on duty. Why is it so hard? I've been doing it in 90-degree weather, walking 15 miles a day. If I can do it and I'm out of shape, you can certainly do it. Why not? Is it an internal policy? Is it standard operating procedure? Sir? Is it standard operating procedure not to wear a mask? I'm asking you. Well, why aren't you wearing one? Who is that? Who is that? Who is it? Who's the sergeant right now? Who's the supervising officer? Who's the supervising officer? Who's the sergeant? Stir. Officer Stir. Who is the supervisor right now? Who's the supervisor? Who's in charge? Who's in charge? Who's in charge? You don't know who's in charge? You're on duty and you don't know who the sergeant is? You don't know who the supervisor is? You don't know who your own supervisor is? So Officer Stir of Menominee Falls does not know who his supervisor is? Is that what you're saying? You don't know why you're not wearing a mask. You don't know who your supervisor is.
How you know?
But the mask mandate while you're at work is not about keeping distance. Reread it? What does it say? Okay, so if you haven't kept your distance, if I have footage of you talking with another officer within 6 feet, if I have footage of you with another officer within 6 feet, then what? Are you saying you haven't been within 6 feet while on duty without a mask on today? Is that what you're saying? You don't recall? Who's the sergeant? Who's in charge? Thank you very much. Why couldn't you just do that? Is that hard? Thank you very much, sir. Sergeant, I just have one question before I head out. You're the one in charge? Who's in charge? Who's in charge here? Who's in charge of this situation? Who's running the show? You're the sergeant? Are you the sergeant? So you're in charge here. You're the ranking officer. Yes. Why aren't you wearing a mask?
We're just trying to say is who's the highest in command in this moment? You are. He's trying to ask who is the highest in command in this moment. That's you. Okay,
why aren't you wearing a mask?
They have special privileges in Menominee Falls.
Okay. So have you not been less than 6 feet away from everyone else today? If I have footage of you talking with someone closer than 6 feet not wearing a mask, then what? So why don't you put a mask on when you're doing that? Why aren't you just wearing a mask in general in case you do get within 6 feet of someone during a global pandemic? Is there a standard operating procedure internally that said that's not the case? We're not going to be doing that here? You trying to stare me down? I'm asking you a question. I'm not intimidated by you. Well, you're not. I'm just asking you a simple question. You can just answer me in a simple answer. Is there a standard? Yeah, but I asked you that. I'm communicating with you right now. I have a mask on. I've been communicating this whole time with a mask on. And you can hear me perfectly fine, right? So you're saying that your chief has said you don't have to wear a mask, even if you come within 6 feet of someone else. Is that correct? Okay, has your chief said that, yes or no? Yes, I'm asking you. You're the officer who is the highest ranking person here. So you're saying that as the highest ranking officer, you can't answer? You're refusing to answer. I'm not assuming anything. I'm asking you directly, and you can give me a direct answer. No, you said to ask someone else. You passed the buck. I'm asking you. Interesting. Well, we're in a global pandemic. I hope you guys take it more seriously and do mask up. Have a good night, officers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Again, one officer with the sergeant's department, or the sheriff, excuse me, wearing a mask out of all those people just gets under my skin. They are being paid. We are in a global pandemic. They are officers of law. And aside from everything else, aside from the ridiculous behavior that a public servant should never exhibit, and again, dude's trying to stare me down, dude wants to start something or whatever, he's going to just look at me like with all that hate in his eye. Why? Don't be mad at me because you're not wearing a mask. Don't be mad at me because you might be spreading a deadly cloud of disease out of your mouth at other people that has killed 160,000 Americans and counting. Because we have people like that. You're at work. And by the way, there is footage of them standing closer than 6 feet and communicating. I know because I have it. Just gets under my skin. And they are supposed to set the example. And I've done it. If I can do it, and I'm out of shape. I'm not an officer. I'm not working out or hitting the gym or anything. I haven't even played basketball since COVID, really. So if I can do it, and I'm out of shape, and we were walking, and some of those days were 15 miles a day, and hot days. If I can do it, they can do it. Gets under my skin. And also, he's saying, well, we're within 6 feet. That's the deal. It's like, you've certainly not been within 6 feet of a bunch of people. When the guy leaned over to talk in that other dude's ear, they weren't 6 feet away. It's ludicrous. But again, it's the disrespect for public safety. We got a neighbor showing some love. Appreciate that. Out here in Menominee Falls. Yeah, even if they're not legally bound to do it by the mandate, and even if that's their argument, then they should still be doing it because it's setting the right example and because it's saving people's lives. And even if they're asymptomatic, which they might be, and still infected, yeah. Anyway, it just irks me above everything else that public servants who work for us, who are our employees, who are there to supposedly help with public safety during a global pandemic, are so hostile towards something as simple as wearing a mask. And I know that because of Trump, it's been so heavily politicized, and Republicans, and a lot of these guys are obviously Republicans, statistically speaking, are so against it. But again, it should be more about if they support, if they're, Trump people, and even Trump wore a mask. So it shouldn't be an issue.
Anybody tired?
Are they following us? I think that they've been like a block away on the side streets, I believe. I don't know. They're probably watching this right now. If you are, say hi. So, we're on Sheridan and... Let's see.
Black Lives Matter! Stay in the middle, guys. Black Lives Matter!
on Sheridan Drive and Ann Avenue in Menominee Falls, heading down Sheridan.
I'm trying to listen to you, girl. No peace. Police.
They're surrounding us.
No peace.
I don't see them on the side street. I don't think they are.
Police.
Unless, is that them up ahead of us? I can't, it's hard to see that far ahead, but we'll see.
No.
Yeah, it looks like they're not barricading us in, they're just driving down the side streets, it looks like.
Justice. Now. Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down.
We did stop at Speedway, Alex. And they let us in this time. Although I don't know if they had a choice because someone went to the bathroom before we got there. But we did go there, and this time we were let in, and we spent a bunch of money and bought stuff, and it usually works out better for society on the micro and macro level if you're just not racist. Let that be the lesson for today. That's the lesson for today. The plainclothes are following us. They were with us earlier. I don't know if they're... Here, I'll go take a look and let's see if they're still with us. I think they took off. Let's see. Those are those two guys. I don't see them. Yeah. I don't think they're... Are those plainclothes officers still with us? Or the undercovers?
I have no idea.
Okay, I don't think... Yeah, I think they've been gone for a while. I don't think they are with us. That was earlier, before we got to the Speedway. But I mean, maybe they're behind us and I just don't see them. But, yeah, I don't think they're with us anymore. Black Lives Matter! But again, in both the situation where we had a completely inappropriate response to this peaceful protest movement. What happened besides they came by, raised tensions, wasted a bunch of money, might even be collecting some extra overtime for it. To what end? So heading up and just passing Theodore. And the other thing is the police have been watching our live streams like this from jump. Like they're sitting in their cars watching us right now. And to those of you who are, you know we're not a problem. So therefore, what is your purpose? Is your purpose to actively provoke and try and provoke a response so that you can justify a use of force? What's your deal? What's your purpose? Is it just to collect additional overtime? Tell me. Tell me right now. I'd love to hear from you. What's your purpose? Why are you bringing things up like that? Why are you escalating? To what end? And that's exactly why we need to refund the community by defunding the police. Because they waste their money on garbage behavior like this over and over and over. And we all have to pay for it. Over and over and over. And now, like in Milwaukee, it becomes 50% of the budget. So we're wasting 50% of our budget for what? A bunch of guys to stand sentry, try and provoke some peaceful protesters, and collect. And not only that, they're getting paid handsomely, and they can't even wear masks. They can't even wear masks. And by the way, they're so worried about, you know, they fear for their lives. That's why they always pull the trigger. Yeah, that's Jada Tamika. You know, they fear for their lives. They pull the trigger because I fear for my life. I'm so sad. I'm so upset. I fear for my life. Da-da. What about fearing for other people's lives? What about having some empathy for people who are potentially going to be subjected to an airborne virus because you didn't want to wear a mask and you deal with the public a bunch?
Come on, y'all.
What about that? We're ready for change. Heading up and just passing Laverne, or Laverne. Well, Mallory, if people are upset about this, if they don't like the marching, if they don't like the drums, if they don't like the chants, if they don't like the song We're Ready for Change, then they should be fighting like hell to end police brutality and to make sure that Black Lives Matter in their community and across the state and country. Because that's how they're gonna put an end to this. But all the opposition, all the hate, all the cuss words and flicking people off or threatening people or whatever, all the stuff online, all that does is just more fuel to the fire. It's not gonna put an end to anything. Yeah, we've been ready. So, again, got another neighbor showing support. Appreciate you. So, actually a lot of support out here in Menominee Falls, much more than last time, or it's what it looked like anyway from my perception. And didn't have anyone taking a bunch of kids off a baseball diamond to turn their back to us this time around either. So, well, Vincent, again, if that's your concern, then you should join us, because the quicker justice is achieved, the quicker we get some fundamental changes, the quicker that we don't have to see any more black people being murdered by police off a cell phone, or hearing horror stories in the community about people being brutalized, thrown against the ground, gun to their face because they fit the description. The quicker that happens, the quicker we can refund the community by defunding the police, the quicker this will get resolved. So if that's your real concern, if that's what you care so much about, do something about it. Come join us. Start calling your older people. Make it happen. Join us. We're on Arthur and Elsie, going up on Arthur. And I look forward to the day when my son gets older, old enough to really know what's going on in the world. and he's gonna ask me, Daddy, oh my God, was that stuff real? I'll say, what do you mean? He said, did black people and brown people used to get brutalized by the police, even though you had decades of cell phone footage and stuff caught on video? And it just was something that happened and people basically expected. And this went on for how long? And he had these police officers who were paid by the public, and in some cases paid over $100,000 a year, and these super early pensions, and tons of money to go into second career as consultants afterwards. And these are the people that were brutalizing and murdering innocent people. And that's how the world used to be, Daddy? And I can't wait for him to ask me that, because I want my son to be surprised by that. I don't want this to be normal. All of us should be fighting against this as normal. This is not how normal should be. We got some more neighbors coming out to support out here in Menominee Falls. Appreciate the support from the neighbors. Again, this is not how anyone should expect society to work. And there's no excuses anymore. You're on one side of history or on the other. We just had the passing of John Lewis. We had so many people. We're on Arthur and May, heading down Arthur Ave. We had so many people praising John Lewis. And before that, every year praising MLK, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But guess what? The same people who oppose us now are the same people that were calling them to be beaten and put in jail and demanding that they stop. So what's really going on? What side of history are you on? You can choose a side, but you can't let it slide. It's a binary choice. So we're on Appleton and Arthur. Today is day 69. Tomorrow will be day 70. Come join us. We're ready. It's time. Call your alder people. Call your mayor. Contact your fire and police commission. Let them know this isn't okay. Let them know what you want and make it happen. We got the...
We gotta regroup. We gotta slow down. Ready? Are you ready?
Oh, we got a little Khalil back there.
Are you ready?
What a coincidence. Are they still with us?
No.
What a coincidence. Right. Yeah, exactly.
If you left your card, how'd you disappear?
Because you know who they were rolling with. So everyone watching, find out who your alderman is. Send them an email. Find out who your alderperson is. Send them an email. Email the mayor. Email the Fire and Police Commission. Ask what they're doing specifically at the municipal level to stop police brutality. to invest in the community. What are they doing for violence prevention? Cops don't prevent violence, they provoke it. What are they doing? What are your employees, your politicians who work for you, what are they doing? And don't let them get off on some BS answer. Ask them and make them answer. They owe you that, they work for you. I think we're still on Arthur, just passing Riverlands. Right, good point, Marcy. Exactly. Look at the clearance rate they have on sexual crimes and rapes. Hell, look at the clearance rate they have on murders. Yet they have resources to dedicate to peaceful protesters that are walking down the street and chanting. Thanks, Haley. Appreciate you. For those of you who don't know, Haley was watching my live stream last time when they locked us out of the bathrooms, and she hooked me up, and thankfully was able to go to the bathroom because of her. So appreciate you, Haley. You're my hero. Yeah, I know, fireworks were kind of wild all over the country this year. I think probably it had a lot to do with the Rona, people being cooped up maybe. But yeah, that was all over. In fact, yeah. But I think that was just another sign of 2020. So we're on Arthur, passing Menominee River Parkway. Oh, Michael. You're the musician, man. Roxy, if you're worried about people's cussing or language, despite the fact if this group does or doesn't use that language, we don't, but from my, usually from my experience, but regardless of that fact or not, if that's what's upsetting you, and the murder of innocent black and brown people by the police who are sworn to protect them isn't what's upsetting you, you're part of the problem, and you should think about that. And that's for anyone who's got that mentality. If someone cussing upsets you, then what's going on in regard to the murders of black and brown people by the police and the police brutality in this country and in this state should infuriate you. They're passing Kenwood. Going up Patton, just passing Kenwood. people cussing you upsets you, and that's your issue, as opposed to innocent people being murdered by the police and the brutality that's been taking place from the folks who want to protect them. If that's your priority, yes, you're part of the problem. You're right, I don't know you, only know what you've said on here. And that's the impression that you're giving. So if that's your mentality, if you're more upset about people cussing than the police brutalizing and murdering people, yes, you're part of the problem. Christopher D'Amato, or D'Antonio Sr. Exactly, that's the point. If you're comfortable, you're not growing. But if you're growing, you are not comfortable. And if we're gonna grow as a society, we need everyone on board. We need to have those conversations. If you're upset about people marching in the street, the best way to solve it, the best way to resolve it, is to join the fight against police brutality. To make sure your mayor, your fire and police commission, your alder person, your state legislator, your county supervisor, your U.S. senator, your congressperson, that your elected officials, your school board member, are doing what they can to end police brutality. If that's really what you care about, then that's going to be the quickest way to it. Because nothing else will be satisfactory. We're coming up on Park and Patton. If your opinion is that someone's temporary comfort is more important than people losing their lives to police brutality, you are not only wrong, you have a pretty awful worldview, and you should really examine why you think that and where that's coming from. Going to be up all night? Well, if you're worried about that, then do something about it. If that's upsetting to you, the best way to solve it is to join the fight against police brutality. Because when that's resolved, when Black Lives Matter, when police brutality is confronted in a meaningful way, that's what's going to resolve this. Complaining isn't going to fix it. Getting upset at, again, it's again, someone said at a meeting for the Tulsa Common Council a while ago that there's no such song called F the Fire Department, but there's a song called F the Police. Why is that? And it begs the question. I've met a lot of officers, and for the officers watching this, they get so upset because there are people who are upset with them and who don't trust police and don't want the police in the neighborhoods and are viscerally mad at them because of the terror and brutality that they brought to their communities for years. Don't be mad at people for being mad at you. Ask yourself what the issue is. Why are they mad? And just like this, don't be mad at people for expressing themselves in this manner to try and stop police brutality. Be mad at the police brutality. And remember, Colin Kaepernick knelt, and the President of the United States literally called him a son of a bee, literally got his career destroyed for it, had all these death threats, all this and that, and people freaked the hell out because he kneeled. So, you do something about it. You have the power. What have you done to solve the issue? on Madison and Main in Menominee Falls. Got some more neighbors showing their support.
I can't breathe. Can you breathe?
Always nice.
I can't breathe.
And that's the point. No justice, no peace. Think about that. How can you possibly have justice or peace without justice? How could there might be, without justice, you might have a superficial, fake imitation of peace, but you can't have peace. You can't have real peace, not without justice. And again, this is pretty binary. What side of history are you going to be on? Everyone watching this, everyone having discussions about this with their kids, with their family and friends, with their coworkers. What side of history are you going to be on? And do you value your temporary comfort more than other people's lives? Coming up on Cleveland, going down Madison Ave. Marcy, come down to Green Bay? Maybe. I'm not the organizer and I don't choose the routes, but what about putting this together in Green Bay yourself? How about organizing it? Yeah, unfortunately we have our racist police department too, headed by a pretty awful police chief. Got some more neighbors coming to show support. And some not so much. Mixed bag out here, that's for sure. But definitely a lot more support than I imagined, especially considering last time. We got County Supervisor Ryan Clancy out here helping out with the legal observing. Appreciate him. So we're on Roosevelt, just past up Hayes. Got some more neighbors coming to say what's up. Neighbors coming to show support. By definition, all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. Think about that. Hey, thank you, sir. Appreciate it too. Yeah, let the racists show their, I think they're exposed. It's more fuel for the fire. If the world was a perfect place, we wouldn't need to be out here. That's the point. That's why it should be, every time you see those comments, it should be encouragement to work that much harder, to have that many more uncomfortable conversations, to push the envelope, or to get out and march, or to call your older person and ask what they're doing on these issues. They're just passing the water on Roosevelt. Still on Roosevelt, just passing up on water. And for everyone that wants to shut this down and is so upset about it, what you don't realize is this country is built on, it's built for protesting. It is part of the ethos. If it makes you uncomfortable, if it upsets you, then you can either become part of the solution or part of the problem. You can help bring a resolution to the issues that are bringing people out here, or you can do nothing and make it worse, or actively make it worse. You can be on one side of history or the other, but there's no half step in it. And again, it's the anniversary of John Crawford being murdered in a Walmart by a murderous police officer who shot him dead while he was buying toys for his kid. Oh, Nick, we're not doing this for money. We're doing this for justice. That's the price of admission, justice. Got some more neighbors coming out to say what's up. Exactly. Whose side are you on? That's right, Kathleen. Exactly, Marcy. I love it. Quote some Rage. By the way, on a completely side note, if you're a fan of Rage Against the Machine, as I am, I would highly recommend checking out Brass Against. It's a brass band cover version of all these Rage songs. I'd highly recommend checking them out. What do you think terrorizing actually means? You know what that word means? Terrorizing is what the cops have done to far too many communities throughout American history, and up until current day. If this is terrorizing to you, you have no idea what that word means. Or you're way too afraid of a couple people chanting and playing drums. And if you're worried about people being terrorized, you need to work on defunding the police and refunding the community. You need to work on ending police brutality in this country. And the state terror that has reigned for far too long against black and brown communities is something everyone should be fighting against. Well, and that's kind of the point, is that fear drives so much horrible, and there's people who are paid a lot of money to cultivate a culture of fear. A lot of them work at Fox News, and a lot of people watch that and other extremist right-wing propaganda outlets, and they get a wildly skewed view. And that's why I live stream, so people can see exactly what's happening here and not just the ludicrous explanation or narrative that's completely false and fabricated given on some of those outrage for profit sites. So instead, you can see unedited, unfiltered, exactly what's going on. And when you see what's going on, you can see there's nothing, you don't have to be afraid. Change doesn't have to make you afraid. But far too often, fear is what you saw in those cops' eyes. They were terrified. Why? Is this that terrifying? Anyone who's scared of this should not have a gun and a license to kill with their badge. And that's kind of the point. And far too many policies, and that's the thing, that's the excuse. What do you hear over and over and over? I feared for my life, so I shot first. I fear for my life. He was going for a cell phone. He was going for the documentation in his car that you asked for. No, but I fear for my life. I fear for my life. Well, if you're that damn scared, you shouldn't be packing, and you certainly shouldn't be given a license to murder. See, that's what you misunderstand. It's not about being lawless. It's about having justice and equity. No one said that we shouldn't have a governance structure, whatever you're talking about. And again, we've had civil rights movements in this country before. We've had marches, and we've had people who were on one side and people on the other. And guess who history judges? And by the way, a lot of you, once we do get systemic change, are going to be old enough to have to explain yourselves the same way the pro-slavery Confederate soldiers who are on the losing side of that battle did. Losing side of that war. Absolutely, Peter. Absolutely, Toby. And by the way, there's a lot of societies, a lot of functional democracies where the cops don't carry guns. And guess what? Cops don't kill people with guns in those society. Guess how many civilians die from police every year? And guess how many police die from civilians? By the way, how dangerous do you think it is to be an officer? Is it the most dangerous job in America? Second most, third most, fifth most, ninth most? Look it up. You might be surprised. So coming up on Shady and Roosevelt. And even here we have NCOs. And we have CSOs. And the CSOs don't carry guns, and guess what? They don't shoot people. And they do just fine. It's more about the fear that drives really horrible decisions over and over and over, and where that fear comes from. And again, if you're a civilian and you have an interaction with the police, and if you're police and you have an interaction with a civilian, statistically, who should be more afraid? Exactly, Peter. Well, you know who's a criminal? The President of the United States is a criminal. He's done plenty of illegal things. But yet you support him. Why is that? Why are there some people who've committed crimes that you choose to support that you would literally or figuratively walk off a bridge for? And there are other people who you would damn for the rest of their life for committing a crime. Think about that. And also, why are crimes committed? Is poverty an indicator? If that's the case, why not deal with that? What about drugs being illegal and being dealt with as a moral failing as opposed to a public health issue? Crimes are committed because of evil people. So what about the crimes Donald Trump has committed? Would you classify him as an evil person? What crimes are you talking about? Is jaywalking a crime? What about not wearing a mask in public? What crimes are you referring to? It is a good song. And that's exactly it. There's what crimes has Trump committed? Trump's committed plenty of crimes. He's sexually assaulted women. He's stolen money, lots of money. Not to mention crimes regarding emoluments since he's been in office. Bribery, corruption, etc. And that's just what everyone knows about. Do some reading. It's pretty easy to find out. Matt, ain't no such thing as a blue life unless you're talking about Smurfs, and they don't exist. So, when you say more white people have died from cops than black people, that's not actually how math works. Because you have to look at the numbers relative to the size of the population. And also, you have to look at what areas are being more overly policed, who's being charged with what, how drugs are handled in the suburbs. Do you know that marijuana crimes are, that black people are more than twice as likely to be picked up and processed for weed-related crimes, for cannabis crimes, than their white counterparts, even though usage rates are almost exactly the same? Exactly. By definition, all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. By definition, think about that. No, Ron, statistically that's not true. Look it up. It's just that there's a racist system that treats black people differently than white people when it comes to a lot of issues around locking folks up, and that goes back quite some time. And if you actually look into the history of how that started, it makes sense, and it's also really sickening. Yeah, that's true. Our jails are certainly packed with nonviolent criminals. And that's another good question. When you put someone in jail or prison for a nonviolent crime, especially like a cannabis-related one, which is really stupid, are they more likely to come out harder or softer than when they went in? That's the question. Yeah, P. Alright, we're just wrapping up, so we will catch you next time. I'm gonna grab something to drink. It's been a long day. Talk to y'all later. Be blessed. Black Lives Matter. Do your part. It's one side or the other. What side are you on?